So again, this is where we're headed. I want to teach you about how to draw this line design today. We've learned how to create expressions and how to draw cartoon faces. Before we go into the final project, let's learn how to do this. Line designs can meander in any way you want. So we're going to practice this before you put it on your actual head. So I'm not drawing the final project. I'm just learning what happens when you meander with a line, and then you need to put another line right next to it. And this does take practice. This is hand-eye coordination. Notice I pause once in a while so I can get my hand into the next position. You can let it slide along the table or stop, turn the paper. You can have the lines go closer and farther apart. You can also add some interesting things, like watch this. I'm going to come along here. I'm going to dip down. And then I think in this space, I'm going to do a spiral. That looks awesome. So when I did my next line, where I come in contact with that spiral, I can just weave around it and move on. Now I got a little too far away here, so I'm going to zoom back in. It takes practice. And then I'm going to add a little something in here and a little something in here. There we go. So if you get too far apart, you can always fill in, but you want to get the feeling that it's flowing all as one thing, right? Because this is eventually going to be hair that's drifting up off of his head or her head, right? See all the spirals? You can do anything you want with the design. So let me go on to the next one. I think I'd like more of these. I'm going to put a spiral right in there. So I'm going to actually start by coming away from this line and putting in a really dense spiral, lots of curls in it. All right, and then, as I said before, you can then take your next line and have it just go around that spiral. Let's put a teeny tiny spiral here. The nice thing about this technique is that you can make it up as you go along. I think I'll veer off. Got a little dot there because I stopped. I'm hoping that you all have markers, or at least a felt tip writing marker, like a pen, because it really looks terrific when it's a felt tip, a marker of some kind. Going around that, turning the paper. Notice I paused and turned the paper and continued. Now let's look and see what it would look like if you don't have one. So here's a ballpoint pen. So can that work? Absolutely. It will have a different look. Let's make sure it's a little, I'm going to scribble it because it was a little dry. I think it's ready. Yeah, here we go. And now I'm doing this in a blue ballpoint pen. And as you can see, it's still very visible. It's not quite as visible, but it's fine. So if you have a felt tip marker, great. If you don't, use a pen. And by the way, notice I had a red marker, so I used a red marker. Gave this kid red hair. But this is the land of art. This hair can be any color you want. So I recommend that you create a line design. Work on it a good half hour, because you want to have some control in doing this kind of technique before you go to your final piece. So have some fun, create some line designs. You actually could make a beautiful greeting card if you filled this up with designs and folded it, right? You could make a gift out of that, or just a work of art.